Hi, I'm Mars from StrataGames, and today we are playing another deck from the top 64 from Pauper MTG last week. This is Dimir Terror by Kowalczyk. They not only top 64, but top 8'd with Dimir Terror. And I wanted to try this deck because, first of all, it's just been gaining a lot of popularity recently because of the brand new Abandoned Attachments. And I figured it'd be a good way to show off the power of this new card. Abandoned Attachments, of course, is just you can discard a card to draw 2, but it gives us a mono blue version of this card, which allows you to discard Snacker and then get it back onto the field. And so that's what we're going to be doing. Of course, we can also mental note or thought scour the Snacker into our yard from our library. We can set that up with Brainstorm. And so we're also, of course, playing, because it's Dimir Terror, Tellurian Terror, and Gurmag Angler, which are both reduced by cards in your graveyard in some fashion, delve, or just reduced by the number of instants and sorceries. And so we have a bunch of cheap cantrips and counter magic, a couple spell pierce, counter spell, cast down, some snuff out, and deep analysis, a one of, and of course Lorien Revealed. Playing just a whole bunch of Aquifer, islands, and a one of Bajuka Bog for our black sources. Then sideboard, Steel Sabotage, Hydroblast, Blue Elemental Blast, Annul, Arms of Vidar, Suffocating Fumes, Unexpected Fangs, and some spell bombs. So I've been playing, I played Dimir Terror for the first time like a couple weeks ago or maybe a month ago on the channel, and I'm excited to see it with the new improvements because it seems to be quite a strong deck at this point. So let's jump into a league and see how we do. I think I might enjoy some kind of white control deck, but that means shelling out for Strands or Dust to Dust. I mean, Pauper's a pretty cheap format on the whole. Unfortunately, just about every deck has a couple expensive sideboard or main deck cards. So it is a bummer, but at least you're not paying $3,000 or $400 or whatever for your deck that rotates every 3 months. So, all right, here we are in round 1. And we have Brainstorm, Abandoned Attachments, and a bunch of removal. I think it seems fine. We're on the draw, so removal can be decent here. Of course, Snuff Out, not really where you want to be against the red decks. There's Synth, so it looks like it might be Rally. Clockwork Percussionist. I could snuff out this guy. It feels like that's just giving them a benefit. Is this going to deal forward life to us? Probably. I'm not going to get a creature down for a few turns unless I like top deck a Snacker here. And this can help turbo out our terrors and things like that. I probably can't afford to do another snuff out, but we'll do the one here. And they are on one land, so I might be okay. I'll probably just discard the other one to the Abandoned Attachments, to be honest. Unless, of course, we find our Snacker. But Island, I think we'll just pass here. They do find their land, Burning Tree Emissary, into Reckless Impulse. Gonna bounce thanks for the entertaining vids. This came from a Grixis Affinity player. Well, I'm glad you've been enjoying it, and I'll catch you later. Yeah, we're just gonna abandon these attachments. Gurmag. Okay, we can play Gurmag for pretty cheap pretty soon. Counterspell's decent. I think we'll hold that up. What did they get off the Impulse? Another Burning Tree Emissary and another Impulse? Okay, perfect. Because they're going to go for a Burning Tree into another Impulse, and I'll just counter the Burning Tree, and then we counter both of them, essentially. And probably just play a tap lands then. I could hold a Brainstorm and then do Brainstorm Lorien. I don't think I need to do that this turn, though. I'd just rather have more mana next turn. So, counter this, so we get to get rid of this and the Impulse. Real nice 2-for-1. I mean, they got a 2-for-1 because they got both of those off one card, but then we get the 2-for-1 back, which is kind of cool. We can get a Gurmag down here. Ooh, Mental Note's good. I would like to find some terrors first before we exile our whole graveyard, so we're going to Brainstorm. Well, I guess we can refill the graveyard pretty easily. Doesn't matter what we put back since we're doing it for the Gurmag. I think Cast Down's not the best here, but it's our only interaction, so we're going to keep it and just get rid of... I think we'll just get rid of these two, and then Island, Mental Note, Deep Analysis, okay. One we would have preferred to mill, but that's okay. Then we'll take out a bunch of these, and 5/5 is kind of hard for them to deal with sometimes. Hi, is this the top 8 blue-black terror deck with AA? Oh, Abandoned Attachments. Yes, it is. I was like, AA+? That is exactly right. Figured it'd be a sweet one to try out. Yep, they get to kill this. I mean, it was a fine 2-for-1. We needed to block no matter what, so not the worst thing ever. Thought Scour. Another Gurmag. All right, we can get that down. And there's the Abandoned Attachments, which I could discard a Deep Analysis to. Not that I really want to flash this back, but I could maybe find a Terror or something that I could cast before we exile our graveyard, so I think we're going to just do that. There's a Snuff Out Lorien. Just going to cycle this for an island, play that, and then cast our Gurmag, exiling lands first and creatures first. Nice. I am 3 abandoned attachments away from replicating the deck, but that card is hard to come by. Yeah, I mean, it's brand new, and very quickly everybody for Pauper wanted it. And actually, I know Is It Lessons is like one of the big decks right now in Standard, so is it seeing play in other formats too? Wouldn't be entirely surprised by that. So yeah, definitely a hard card to find. I haven't looked myself, but I definitely need to pick up a few copies at some point. We're taking 2. I really don't want to snuff out at this point. We're just way too low, so that probably will not be used at all. Thought Scour. We haven't seen a single Terror or Snacker. Come on now. Counterspell's good. All right, I'm just holding up my removal and interaction here. My friend has like 9 copies, but he's running multiple decks, so he needs all of them. Yeah, that's rough. Reckless Impulse. I think we're going to counter the draw 2, and then we can snuff out one of these guys. Just take 1. Oh, brother. Well, do I want to cast a Deep Analysis from the graveyard? Game paying 3 life? Not really. Do we need to? Probably. I didn't check. This deck isn't running Unexpected Fangs in the main deck, is it? We have 2 in the side. Darn. I love that card. I would love one in the main deck. All right, we're going to draw 2. What's the worst that could happen? I have to hard cast a Sneaky Snacker? Well, that's embarrassing. All right, we'll attack for 5, and yeah, we'll see. Another rally. We're going to take a damage here, block, and pick this guy off. All the cool kids get on the field for free. Yeah, I agree. Maybe he'll be back. Brainstorm or Lorien into some counter magic would be probably some of our best draws. Cast down is fine, I guess. I really think I have to race here, and hopefully they just don't get any more haste creatures and I can just cast this down. But who knows? Bushwhacker, sure. So we're down to 2, dead to a bolt. Ditch a mountain. All right, Temur Battle Rage. Not a Temur Battle Rage for some reason. If I attack, I'm dead to like another Bushwhacker. I'm already dead to so much though. I think our best shot at winning is doing this. If they top deck nothing at all, maybe we get a removal, we can kill the soldier and win. Crack Synth, I guess I'd need 2 removal spells, but for a Great Furnace, clearly they didn't already have the win, so that's not gonna do it. Alright, hey, if they attack with both their creatures, and then we find a removal spell for the Samurai, yeah, they smartly did not. There's a Lorien revealed. Give me some terrors and counterspells. Spell Pierce, not the best. Mental Note. All I'm holding up right now is Spell Pierce, so I might as well Mental Note because I could hit a creature to play. Abandoned Attachments, nope. We just milled 2 terrors, perfect. This is not how the deck plays out when my opponents are playing it. Okay, I could attack with the Gurmag. They have to chump, but then we're just dead. So let's not do that, I suppose. End the festivities. Well, that's not fair. All right, that kills the Snacker. I can't Spell Pierce it, and then they attack him for lethal. So we get a bunch of Hydroblasts and Unexpected Fangs. Oh, and Board Wipes because they're Rally, which is great because we have Snuff Outs, Deep Analysis, which are all bad. Even Cast Downs are not very good. And everything else is fine, but we got to make a cut. So I kind of like Spell Pierce. I think we cut a Brainstorm. Brainstorm's so good, though. Maybe just a Mental Note. By the way, did you do a video about Jeskai Synth recently? I did Jeskai Moxite recently, like the last week. And I've done Jeskai Synth before, but that was like when it first came out. Well, when Cryogen first came out. But yeah, the Moxite deck, the Boros Moxite deck that's going around, I had a Jeskai version I played on stream last week, and then a video, that video going up following there. This hand is decent. We get to just blast this guy because it's going to deal us way too much damage otherwise. Snacker. Okay, that's not a bad draw either. Yeah, I'm going to Hydra this guy because it just stops their whole turn. And then Mental Note. If we're lucky, we hit some Snackers. We hit an island and a counterspell. Abandoned Attachments. All right, we want to hit our land drop. Might as well make it black. So I'll get the Aquifer. Hold up Spell Pierce. Hopefully they'll go for like a rally or something that I can just Spell Pierce. Or an Impulse. I'll take that too. All right, Graveyard filled. Let's just find some terrors. I need to check that out. Chose Jeskai Synth as my deck for the next Pauper League season since I own like 55 of the 60 cards. Nice. Seems sweet. Ooh, Gurmag's good. I could Attachments, but I don't really want to discard any of these. I think I'll Thought Scour first, because if I can Thought Scour and either draw or just mill a Snacker, then we can get it back with the Attachments. We did not. Ooh, and I don't want to discard that. That's fine. We'll just play a Gurmag. I'm going to hold up a blue. Well, I guess what am I going to be left with? Let's see. Boo, boo, boo. 5. We can get it back up. Yeah, I'm going to hold up a blue just to bluff, like a Hydroblast or a Spell Pierce or something. I still have 4 spells in my grave, plus I can easily put 2 more, so I don't think it's a big deal. Oops. Double Mountain. Okay. They did need lands. There's a Tomb Raider. I would love a Hydroblast so I can like go for the Fangs here and actually protect him. Another Thought Scour. Let's cast that. Okay, there's a Snacker and another attachments. I really would, like, I could Fangs here and we hit for 6, we gain 6. Pretty good, but it's not game winning. Whereas if we can, like, if they just double bolt it, it just dies. Whereas if I can find a counter spell and then do it, I could just win the game off of that. So I think we're going to hold out a little bit. And I'm going to go for an attachments, discarding another one of these. There's a Terror, there's a counter spell, and a Snacker. I am going to swing for 5. I guess probably not. I could swing for 5. Oh, also now that we have a Terror, I probably want to put it on that because the ward makes it almost impossible to die. I could have swung for 5 because the Fangs is going to make it so we can race really easily. But if I did do that and they got like a Rally Bushwhacker, it would just be a lot of damage that I'd be taking for no good reason. They get a Pyroblast off the top with this Reckless Impulse. Well, I guess I'm not casting Terror this turn, probably. That's a nice draw, though. I guess if I cast Attachments, they'll probably counter that. But then I could resolve the Terror. Yeah, that's fine, actually. If Terror resolves, we're in a really good spot. So if they want to Pyro this, so be it. And they don't. Oh, and we get a Gurmag, so I can play that. It doesn't get Pyroblasted. We are going to reduce the Terror. Terror's going to be more expensive again. We have 2 Fangs now, though. You know, let's just go for it. Because they're going to Pyroblast this Snacker since they'll have nothing else to use it on. So the second blocker is pretty good, I think. The second blocker is pretty good, I think. I should probably just attack with it then, actually. But we'll just pass. They have a Synth after playing their land. That's how you want to do it. There's a Percussionist. Another Synth. Finding a Synth. Finding a Galvanic Blast. Okay. They play the Percussionist. They're going to swing. But they can only blast one of these. So I'm going to... They already played a land unless they're going to like Fire Blast the other one. But I'm going to definitely just block. Yep, they blast one of them down. So yeah, Terror's a 4-drop. Oh, but that's a great draw. Now I can just attack. I can Fangs. I have 2 Fangs, so I should be good either way. Even if this guy dies, I have a backup for the Terror, but I also have the Blue Blast, so they need like 3 bolts to kill this guy. Pyroblast, okay, well, that can take the place of a bolt since it can counter the counter. But they're going to crack a Synth Mountain, and they concede. All right, nice one for us. Let's go. This hand seems fine. Give it a try. All right. Pretty good start. I might just have to blast that guy then. We'll leave it up though, see if they have something else. Percussionist. Yeah, there was the risk of doing this because they could have a Pyroblast for it, but I'm going to attempt to blow up the Tomb Raider. That worked. Okay. Epicure, play an Aquifer. Okay, so we can brainstorm Mental Note and hopefully get both of these guys out next turn because this will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spells potentially. So I guess we'd need another. Relic is annoying, although if they don't have the mana, if they don't have a land, then they can't crack it this turn. Okay, swing for 2. So I can brainstorm Mental Note and then I can cast like one of these 2 before they can Relic. Ugh. Although if I mill a Snacker, like, oh wait, no, because I'm gonna have to do this in my upkeep. Oh gosh. Because then, yeah, it's not going to work. So if I mill these 2, then I'm at 4 and 2 mana. So I can't actually get a Gurmag. Unless I hit another Thought Scour or Mental Note, which there's no guarantee of. Well, I'm going to just put these back anyway. We're still going to mill them, but abandon attachments. Okay, we can get back the Snacker with that then. But yeah, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Mill or discard. I probably want to discard the Terror because these are kind of just dead in our hand. But if they don't then pop the Relic, I could get this out next turn. I could get the Gurmag out next turn. Yeah, let's just do that. Bajuka Bog. Relic is problematic for sure. Well, Galvanic Blast, then they're going to pop the Relic. Sure. I mean, we're still at 12. We're not dead by any means. We have some counter magic for next turn. Mental Note. Let's cast that. Terror, we hit 1 land. 1, 2, or 1 spell. So 1, 2, 3. Yeah, let's cycle this. And then just hold up our counter magic. Next turn I should be able to get down one of these guys and then hopefully Fangs it up and we'll be good. Bushwhacker, we're going to counter that. If they have the Pyro, we have a Spell Pierce for it. If they have a Relic, we have a Spell Pierce for it. So that actually means 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So now we can get both of these down. And the following turn we Fangs. And we should be good. Bandit attachments. So I could actually attachments, discarding the Bog. Okay, we don't have 2 black mana. Otherwise, well, I couldn't do 2 Gurmags because they obviously use up each other's resources. But let's do that. And then eat these guys. And then we have a Fangs next turn. We should be golden. They don't have the mana to... Well, they could Pyroblast the Terror if I put it on that. That's fair. They cast a Burning Tree into a Reckless. finding Relic and a Clockwork Percussionist. Cast the Percussionist. Relic will come out next turn, which is fine. Swing with these guys. They block them both. Fair enough. I'm going to go on the Terror. If they find a Pyroblast, it's kind of worse, but otherwise it's fine. And we'll pass here. There's a Relic. That was the deck list I was playing first. This is the deck list that I'm playing now, so go ahead and use that link instead. And they got the Bushwhacker. And they swing for 7, leave these guys back. I guess I should probably leave the Gurmag Angler back just to be the safest. I knew I should have done that before, but I just want to attack, you know. But we'll play it safe this time. They exile a Reckless Impulse. I mean, they are getting good draws here. I guess we'll just play a full cost Gurmag here. Reckless Impulse. There's the Pyroblast. Yeah, they found it. I mean, we're in a fine spot now, up at 15. We've got 2 5/5s, but that is a bit annoying. Get a Lorien. That's not bad. All right, we're going to start swinging then. Got to win the race. Hit for 10, play a Snacker, and pass. Reckless Impulse. They've drawn a lot of those, which has been very good for them, although this time they hit 2 mountains, so not too bad. Swing with the Emissary. I mean, I'll block. I know they're going to just pop the Relic, but I'd rather not take 2 damage, and I'm not going to start attacking with the Snacker. I guess I could have held off a turn so that they don't get to rack the relics soon. Oh my gosh, they've seen... That's 4 relics, yeah. We were able to play around 4 relics somehow. Pretty good. They just crack it right away. Yeah, they're in need of something for sure. And if we get a board wipe here, we just win. Aw, that doesn't do anything at the moment. Swing for 10, and they're cracking their synth and their blood, desperately searching. They find a Tomb Raider, and they got jump blockers. They swing for 2. Alright, land is fine, because I get to draw 2 more cards here. Lorien, Thought Scour. I could Lorien, but then I have no mana to do anything with, so I feel like it kind of makes sense to Thought Scour, and then I can always Lorien next. Well, I guess I drew the land, so I might as well Lorien here. But swing with these. They're both lethal, so they gotta chump both, or have, like, double bolt for them. And then they could have a Pyroblast, but no reason to not cast the Lorien. They have a Galvanic Blast. That's fine. Honestly, not as bad as if they counter this, because now this is pretty good. They have a full play set of Mountains and Furnaces. Counterspell. Let's Thought Scour to see what we draw. Another Counterspell, sure. Swing for 5, eat their guy, and then play a Snacker. And if they try to kill the Gurmag here, then we get to bolt, or not bolt, they get a Counterspell. They're going to bolt. We're going to counterspell. All right, and we take down that match. You can now pick up my comprehensive guide to Esper Cryo Affinity, including 38 sideboard matchups, and I just put out a big update for my Black Sack guide, including a slightly different deck list. I began offering coaching sessions if you're interested in taking your Pauper game to the next level, and I'm accepting deck donations, so if you desperately want me to play a deck that I usually wouldn't play, something like Elves, then you can make me do that for a small fee. I've started posting a League video every single day, not to mention streaming at least a couple times a week on Twitch, but I'm not going to be able to keep that up forever unless I can get a little bit more help from the community. Any of the ways I've just mentioned are great ways to help me out, or you can even subscribe and support me on a monthly basis. All right, round 2 here, and this hand looks great. Don't have any single target removal, which depending on the matchup could be pretty important, but we have a lot of card draw to find it, and a counterspell is pretty nice. Dark Moss Bridge. Not 100% sure what that exactly means. If I had to take a stab in the dark, I would say Golgari Pestilence with Daily Indoctrination to make an indestructible creature. But it could also just be like some other Gardens deck. It could be Jund Wildfire, but for some reason it's playing a well, it is Jund. It's playing a non-red land. A non-red bridge, that is. And here, I mean, if we top deck a Snacker, then I probably want to abandon attachments, but if we get anything else, well, I was going to say if we get anything else, we could just hold up Counterspell. I don't know what they're doing, so I kind of want to hold up Counterspell anyway. We can always get the Snacker down later. Or I could even just still abandon attachments hit on their turn into the grave, and then I can just bring it back on our turn or a future turn with the Brainstorm. I think that's the safest. Since I'm not sure what they're doing, I might want to hold up a Counterspell this early. I mean, Jund plays like Pili Pala. It could be that. So like holding up a Counterspell for a combo piece or something could be kind of important. I could also Brainstorm and then Mental Note away the Snacker is another option. Darksteel Citadel, so definitely doing something with their indestructible lands. So I think it's probably just like Brave the Wild's Daily deck. This draws a card and it's a 2/2 and it ramps. I think it's a reasonable card to counterspell. And we can still Lorien for a land, abandon attachments, get our Snacker down. Or if we just top deck a land, I can also hold up Brainstorm. Mental Notes. So yeah, hit our land drop with an island and then cast abandon attachments, discarding the Snacker eventually. And Terror and a Mental Note. 3 spells in our graveyard, but we can increase that pretty precipitously. Tree of Tails. Okay, fair enough. They got green and red mana, so it makes sense to be playing Chris. Let's just brainstorm Mental Note and then get a Terror down. Maybe 2 if we find another. Well, I could Gurmag. We have so many ways to fill the grave. All right, we're going to get rid of a couple of these. Play the land, Mental Note, cast a Terror, and then Gurmag. And then I can still refill the graveyard pretty quickly if we find any more Terrors or Gurmags. And then obviously Snacker can't attack with the Chrysalis out until we find a Cast Down or a Snuff Out, of which we have 7 in the deck, so we should find them at some point. But these guys, unless they cast another Chrysalis, these guys can attack in freely. Another Chris would be pretty annoying, because they could both be big enough to block our guys, so I'd need 2 removal spells to get in. There it is. Alright, so we're just drawing for some removal, is the plan. Perfect. There's 1. 1 doesn't let us attack with anything, though, so let's keep looking for more. Mental Note. I don't necessarily want to discard the land to the attachments unless I find more land, so I kind of want to see what I get off of this one first. Terror. 2, 3, 4. Okay. So I could just abandon attachments, discard this Thought Scour, and then I can play a Terror. Okay. We only have 1 black mana, actually. That's annoying. Okay, we're just going to pass then, because I could play a Terror. My thought was, I'll play a Terror, and the next turn I'll cast down both of these and attack with everything. But I don't have that luxury, so I might as well cast down one of them here, and the next turn I can cast down another and attack and also get a Terror. They have a Cleansing Wildfire. Yup. Okay, so it is Jund Wildfire. It's just a different take on the deck, which is interesting. And they have another Visionary. This guy doesn't threaten very good blocks, though, so I'm not too worried about him. They did leave up their black mana, it looks like. So they could have a draw 2, Fanatical Offering, when I try to cast this guy down. But what are you going to do? I could have done it on our own turn. Oh, they don't have it. Maybe they have their own cast down. Counterspell would be nice. Okay, I could just play 2 of these, but then I'm not casting this down. So we're going to just start with this. See what they got. That works. Alright, swing with the team. They still have some free blocks, but at least we're making some progress. They take 12. Should I be worried about a Kurk Clan Shaman here? It feels like they've gone away from red more. Like, they have Wildfire still, obviously, but they have multiple mountains. I don't know. I don't know if there would be a Kurk here. Totally could be. Feels like it'd be kind of bad with Visionary in the same deck, though. We will find out. Okay, they have like a Troll of Khazad-dûm. That's my guess. Boarding Party. Okay. So I did have this inkling a little bit. It's just like traditional Jund Wildfire, like Jund Cascade, I think it was called, actually. Like 2 or 3 years ago. It was before I was playing, so it's not what I'm super familiar with. Avenging Hunter, that's pretty good, but we do have a cast down into attack you with 4 guys, so I think we're going to be okay here. They pulled out a Forest. Brainstorm, okay. Let's just see what we get off of that. Another Terror, or just a Lorien Reveal. But we're going to cast down this turn, so let's do this. Cast down the Hunter. They have to block 2 of these guys on the ground, which could leave their boarding party alive, but then we just have a Terror behind that. Oh, I forgot we're going to shuffle away, because we're going to take the initiative, which means that we're going to get a basic, so I should have kept the Lorien in hand. I think we'll be okay, but that was a bit of a mistake because I would very much like a draw 3 at this point. And it's not a May or anything. I can't choose to not go and get a basic. Otherwise, I probably would, because who needs it? Play an island and a Terror. Pass the turn. Galvanic Blast finishes off the Gurmag. All right. They have another boarding party. It feels Blade Tribe Berserkers. That's pretty funny. It's a 3/3 for 4, and it gets +3/+3 in haste when it enters if you have Metalcraft. So they could attack with both, but then they're just super dead. They are already kind of super dead, to be fair. To forge onto the Snacker. Trap's going to kill him next turn. They have to block both of these. They only trade for 1. Oh, never mind. They get the Galvanic Blast. So they're not dead yet. Well, now they got to go to 1. And they have to chump, and then the trap should kill him next turn. So, all right, we get that game. Yeah, so they're like Metalcraft Jund stuff. So Steel Sabotage. It's mostly in their mana base. I don't know if we need Sabotages, actually. I mean, I could bounce to set them back a turn. I guess that makes sense. Boarding Parties, those guys, Galvanics, probably enough stuff to bring these in. A Null doesn't seem worth it, probably. But the Sabotages are good. And what did we see? Pretty much just removal is good. Like Deep Analysis, I guess we can cut. Spell Pierce hits Wildfire, but so does Hydroblast. I don't know. This reminds me of that old Mardu deck with Bleak Coven Vampires. I'm not familiar with a Mardu deck with Bleak Coven, but I believe this is a deck that might play those. There's somebody at our store who has a Jund Metalcraft deck very similar to this, and they do play Bleak Coven Vampires, so I wouldn't be super surprised. Maybe only 3 of these? I don't know. I don't want to cut too many cast downs. This deck is like almost all 4-ofs, and they're almost all cards that are like perfect in every deck. So it's like I don't want to get rid of a counterspell or a cast down and so it's tough to make cuts, but that's okay. Here, 2 cast downs or 2 counterspells is pretty good. Thought Scour is not bad. They do have the Wildfire. I cannot interrupt, unfortunately. Gonna just cycle this for an Aquifer, but we're gonna play a counterspell or an island and then hold up a counterspell, that is, and then the following turn I'll play the Aquifer holding up counterspell as well. If they don't cast anything I want to counterspell, I can just brainstorm Thought Scour. So we have options. I would counterspell a Chrysalis, even though they obviously get some value out of it. I don't think I care to counter this that much. And they hit Cleansing Wildfire, Lightning Bolt, Cleansing Wildfire. Almost a whiff. They do get a Slagwoods Bridge. Relic of Progenitus. Yeah, that could be pretty annoying. If they have another Relic, or like a Pyroblast here, can't do much about it. But we can definitely, as we've seen, we can definitely fight through a Relic. But it is just a nuisance. I'd rather not have to if I don't have to, you know. Play a Mountain. Looks like a boarding party. So if they get an Avenging Hunter, I can counter that. They get a Chrysalis. So I probably just counterspell the boarding party so I don't take 6, and then I can cast down the Chrysalis. Abandoned Attachments. Alright, we'll just pass. Did we see anything that was black last game? Because we saw black lands. Yeah, they have the Dark Moss Bridge, but we haven't really seen a reason for that, I don't think. There's another Chrysalis. They have a third one, because that's outrageous. That's unfair. How can you cast a third Chrysalis and not, I don't know. I didn't think this far ahead. Okay, well, let's brainstorm, because if I get a counterspell, I'll want to counter this, and then I'll cast this down next turn. Well, we're gonna mill those. Some islands. So let me just cast this down then. We'll mill those in the upkeep. I mean, they have 2 cards in hand, one of them's a land, so we might be okay, but this is a lot of big guys. Thought Scour, another attachments, another Thought Scour. Let's cast one of these. There's a Gurmag. Not that it can block either of these guys, but it is something. There's the bridge. So this is 14 damage they could deal. I'm not about to just throw this away until I have to, though, so they can go wild. And they do. Down to 6. Avenging Hunter. I mean, I can definitely win this if we just draw some removal and some more creatures. Like, if I can even snuff out this, take the initiative, get a couple terrors, and like another cast down. I don't know. Hydroblast. They've gone through all of their red spells. Now I get the Hydroblast, of course. Pachuca Bog. I will abandon these attachments. Terror, another Hydro, Thought Scour, and we're gonna die. Yeah, all 3 of these are gonna be lethal. If I attack and they block here, then these 2 are lethal and I only have 1 blocker, or I just play this and then the Hunter gets forged, so they're all lethal, so dead either way. Those Hydroblasts, they would have been good earlier, but they looked really bad at the end there, so maybe I'll just swap in that cast down for one of them. Alright, we have the turn 2 Snacker. Seems good. Well, that's pretty unfortunate. So no turn 2 Snacker. I guess I hold up Counterspell and Lorien then, because then I can cycle one of those or cast, and then their Relic can't get the Snacker. Oh my god. Never mind. Well, I guess we counterspell this, and then they have to Relic this, and then we get the Snacker maybe. But if they hold up 1 mana, they could just pop the Relic. Ugh. Which I guess at least we use up the Relic really early. Sure. I'll exile the counterspell in our upkeep. Hydroblast. Oops. Did not mean to pass to our next phase, but that's fine. Yeah, we're just going to do this and make them use the Relic. Or they don't use it. And that's fine too. I mean, to be fair, maybe they're not worried about 1 Snacker. They're more worried about all of this, which I guess is reasonable and actually quite a bit annoying. I was kind of hoping they would crack it. There's a Visionary. Cycle Lorien. If we can get like a couple Thought Scours in a row here, we can maybe turbo out a Terror before they can blow up the graveyard, but we'd have to draw properly. Snuff out. We're 1 mana off from casting one of these. I don't really want them to get like an Avenging Hunter or something down though, so I think we're gonna snuff this guy out. But yeah, can't quite cast any of these. Another Visionary. I could just cast the Hydroblast for no gain and maybe get down Terror. That doesn't seem great to me. But like, if we just draw land, that is, we would get down a Terror. But we have no guarantee that'll happen. Hydroblast could still be reasonable. I guess we're on the sneaky snacker grind. Hit for 2 and play this guy. Looks like they have a Chrysalis. Yep. There's an island. Well, these Hydroblasts have been very bad. They play plenty of red spells. We've seen them, so it's just been a bit unfortunate. I'm not sure I shouldn't bring them in, but like they've just not done what they need to. Maybe it catches a boarding party or something here, but still not the best thing ever, especially against these guys. Lorien revealed. All right, Brainstorm. Snuff out, Mental Note. Yeah, we'll get rid of a couple terrors. Or anglers, I suppose, with the Mental Note. I guess maybe I should have made them terrors, because then the Gurmag could have actually cast off of them, but that's fine. And we will pass. They sack everything here for an Altasaur. Cannot Hydroblast that. They get a Galvanic Blast at our face for 4. I guess I Hydroblast that for 4 damage. The first red spell we've seen all game. Could be better saved for like a boarding party, but we have no guarantee that'll actually even be happening anytime soon. They exile a Gurmag, and this does let us get it down to Terror for 5 mana next turn if we want. Although I guess the Snuff Out does too. They swing with the Visionary. We're definitely going to block there. Snuff out one of these guys. I kind of expect they might pop the Relic here to get rid of the Snacker. It's only 3 spells, but it is enough to get a Terror out, which they, yep, might want to stave off. Yikes. Another Snacker. Galvanic Blast. We're down to 2. This guy's got Trample. Alright, I think this match is mostly due to like lack of knowledge about the deck. Just because, like, our sideboarding was probably wrong. It also doesn't seem like it lines up great. They just have a lot of really big creatures. Obviously, we do as well. But then the Relics, I mean, the Relic just single-handedly killed us here. I don't know, definitely a bit rough. All right, here we are off stream in round 3. Got to mulligan that one, but this one looks decent enough. Gonna get rid of the Mental Note. And we'll just play an Aquifer and pass against probably some blue Terror, Brainstorm, and then Lorien. I can abandon attachments with the Snacker here. They could have a Spell Pierce or Force Spike, but I don't think holding up Counterspell is very beneficial. And yep, there it is. We want to hit our land drops, obviously, but that will not be happening here. Don't think there's any reason to cast a Snacker. They could just do a couple Mental Notes and land a bunch of Terrors, and that seems bad. But obviously falling behind on mana here is pretty bad too. Aquifer's a decent draw. There's a Ponder. 3 mana for a Terror. We're going to try to Counterspell. I expect another Force Spike here. Indeed. Cycle a Lorien. And we'll just pass. Take 5. We'll try to Counterspell the Cryptic Serpent. They get a Counterspell back. We'll Spell Pierce and hope that there's not another Force Spike. Or a Terror, because they could just let this all resolve and cast a Terror. That's what they got. Another Lorien. Cycle that for an island. I'll play a Snacker and a Gurmag. Pass the turn. Thought Scour into a Ponder. And Sleep of the Dead for the Angler. That's pretty annoying. I can block, bring this back with a Deep Analysis, but it'll be tapped. We'll just die. And of course, there's also a Serpent. Sure, we'll just Thought Scour first. Mental Note and a Lorien. So I can actually play a Terror for 4, but then I just die to what they have. This brings that back. And I can Snuff out, but then I'm 1 mana short of this Terror. And even if I could, they could just Sleep the Dead it, even through the ward. Well, I think we're supposed to be better in this matchup because we actually have hard removal, but not if we don't see any of our Snuff outs or cast downs until right at the end there. I think Fangs could be good here, because like if we're racing, or it's just a way to make our guys beat their Terrors. Spell Pierce seems fine. Yeah, I was saying this earlier, but it feels like there's just nothing to cut. The deck is kind of so clean. Unless you're up against a deck where you don't want removal, or Spell Pierce is bad, or Snacker's bad or something, but if you're not, everything kind of seems good. Hard to figure out what to bring in, or bring out for that. I mean, Snacker's not the best thing ever, but it's pretty easy to get back. It's a nice chump blocker. It can be a decent attacker, but maybe we go a little lighter on it. I really don't know. This is a 1-lander. Obviously, if we hit a second land off like a Mental Note, it'd be pretty good, but there's just no guarantee. And this one, I mean, we have removal for their first couple threats, but we're going to do nothing for the first several turns, which seems bad, but I don't really want to go any lower, so I guess we'll keep it. Get rid of one of the Gurmags. But we really need to draw some lands and cantrips for us to be in a decent spot here. Okay, Lorien's not bad. Cycle that. We get the Gurmag back. Now we're missing land drops. Cycle a Lorien. Snacker. I guess I'll cast that. I don't care if it gets countered. I can still hold up the only piece of interaction I have, at least until they have creatures on the field. And maybe you can start attacking or something. Deem Inferior on the Snacker. That's fine. We're going to put that on the bottom. Play an island and pass. We get a counterspell. They Thought Scour, hit a Mystic and a Deep Analysis. Flash that back. Thought Scour. Milled 2 Mystics. There's a Cryptic Serpent, which we'll just let resolve, since I can just snuff it out or cast it down. I'm going to just cast down. I have Spell Pierce if they have a Dispel, which they do. Although they were at 8 cards, so they're happy to get that used up. I can play a Gurmag Angler tapping out. And then they can play as many terrors as they want, which we have snuff outs for. That does not seem like a great idea. There's another serpent and a terror. I guess we'll counter that, since it's going to be more expensive to pay the ward on anyway. They Thought Scour in response and counterspell. There's no reason for me to snuff out on the end step here, except there is a reason for the ward here. I could do it so I could pay the mana, but we've seen they have Force Spike. Maybe they took those out, but if I get Force Spiked, that feels pretty bad. So I think we just snuff out the Serpent here, and then snuff out the Terror. And no Dispels for any of that. Okay. And I'm gonna not get Force Spiked, but I'm gonna hold up 1 spell from our grave. Like, I'm gonna keep 1 spell in our grave so that the next one's a little cheaper, but want to play around the Force Spike, because that'd be real unfortunate if we exile our whole graveyard, or most of it, and don't even get the Terror, or the Angler rather, from it. Deep Analysis. They certainly have way more cards than we do. And Deem Inferior would be pretty annoying. Flashback Deep Analysis. There's the Deem. Definitely put it on the bottom. Brainstorm. Snacker. I could hardcast a Lorien. Hope it doesn't get Force Spiked, which we haven't seen yet. Seems like the type of card they might take out for this match, especially after it being used in round 1. I guess there's not a rush. I don't have to cast this turn. Let's play around it, I guess. There's a Brainstorm, Mental Note for a couple islands. Brainstorm, Thought Scour. There's a Force Spike that they just put back that they probably had, but they clearly didn't take them all out at the very least. Of course, now we can just get regular counterspelled, but that's fine. Cast a Lorien. There we go. That's 3 counterspells. They have a Lorien of their own and a Terror. We get this garbage. We'll play the Gurmag, Brainstorm. They Sleep of the Dead on the Gurmag Angler. Another Terror. We get a counterspell. I cast this Snacker. They can Sleep with the Dead it. I can counterspell. They can sleep again, and I will die. All right, let's try to do a little better this time against Tron of some variety. Spell Pierce. I'm going to take the chance and not hold up Spell Pierce. The chance being that they'll probably just crack this map this turn. Yeah, and not leave up Spell Pierce when it could have hit like an Energy Refractor or whatever, but it seemed unlikely. Now we will be holding up Counterspell, though, and Spell Pierce, but it's going to be tough for that to counter anything with them having 7 mana on turn 3. Golem Foundry. Well, that is one of the outlets to their, I'm assuming, Ultratron deck, so it seems like a reasonable one to counter. Alright, not too bad. Prophetic Prism. Draw an island. Alright, we'll just pass. They did mulligan to 5, so there are a couple cards down. Ashnod's Altar, mostly just a combo piece. Ashnod's doesn't do too much else in the deck. They have a Packdoll Terror. Well, we don't have a counterspell for that unless we can... Well, that's a black card, so it's not going to get snuffed out. And we don't have Force Spikes, so yeah, that's going to work. We do get 1 mana Terrors now. We also get to abandon attachments with this Snacker. Bring it right back. Play a Terror. Hold up a Spell Pierce. They got 1 card in hand. And it's another Terror. I thought we were the Terror deck. If I can find a Cast Down, we'll be just fine. Counterspell's pretty good. I kind of wanted to Lorien this turn. And I could, but if they get something really scary, they could win. Or just get something through a counterspell. We'll attack for 2. Currently our Terror is being held back by their 2 Terrors. Not that I expect them to double block, but I don't want to trade 5 for 6 when I'm currently losing the race. I think I'm going to take the chance and just go for the Lorien, hope they don't top deck anything amazing here. It was a Mirror Retriever. That's fine. I'm not countering the first one of these. They only need 1 more Retriever and we just lose. Also, they can use this to bring back the Golem Foundry. They go for the Map, actually. I guess Map can be a new card if they cycle for like a Barrenmoor or something. Also, this just pings us for a bunch. Yeah, Polluted Mire. That's the one. The one that uses colorless mana, into another Terror. Well, isn't that fantastic? Well, if I can just find a Cast Down, I guess. Brainstorm, not a Cast Down. Snuff Out's useless. Thought Scour. So let's mental note these away. Gurmag. Okay, well, we're playing a terror and holding up counterspell. Attack for 2, play a terror, pass. Like, we didn't lose last turn. It wasn't the worst, but they did get some pretty decent draws. Candy Trail. I mean, that pings us for 3 and scries 2 and then draws a card. I feel like we should counter that. I mean, that's an outrageous card to have to counter, but we have to, I think. Find some cast downs, please. We haven't milled any, so we still have 3. Abandon attachments on this Aquifer. Nope. Thought Scour. Nope. Alright. Well, we're going to attack with everybody. We're going to play 2 Gurmag Anglers, I suppose. And hopefully they top deck Dud. And Spell Pierce could be relevant. They're never going to play around a bluff of an actual counterspell if they get something, so let's just not even waste our time. Play these out. If they whiff, then we actually get to attack and they have to block 2 of these. If they get just like a land. Another Ashnod's Altar pings for 3, but that's it. And also I can't do anything about it. So that's not a bad draw for us. And 4 of these is lethal, so they're going to have to block 1 of them. We get a mental note. We hit a land. So if we attack with everybody... Oh, actually the Snacker plus 3 of these is lethal, so they have to block 2, which means I get to kill 2 of their terrors, which means they still have 1, and if they get a Mirror Retriever, we're going to lose. But it's actually not too bad for us. Yep, they just go for a couple chumps. And we got to dodge the combo. 1 more turn. All right, and we did. Alright, it was looking a little bad there for a minute, but we get Graveyard Hate and Artifact Hate. So Spell Bombs, get these Snuff Outs out of here. Annuls and Steel Sabotage. Cast Downs are good. Spell Pierce has such a small window to be good, I think we just cut them entirely. Like, if they turn 1 a map, then they're basically just irrelevant the rest of the game. Because they've already cast the map before I could Spell Pierce it. Then they're going to crack the map. Assuming they have 2 Tron lands already, they're going to do exactly what they did there. And then it's just a dead card. I mean, they didn't get a lot of card draw that game, and if they got a little bit more, they might have used more mana, and eventually the Spell Pierce could have been relevant, but it still wouldn't have caught anything like significant. It would have caught like a flashed back Eviscerator's Insight or something, you know? Alright, this hand's not bad. Counterspell, Spellbomb, those are the good parts. Brainstorm would be nice because we could mental note away the Snacker. And there's a Chromatic Star to start. There's the Brainstorm. Let's Aquifer. Another Tower. They crack their star for a Malevolent Rumble. It's a pretty good Rumble. It finds a Mine, which is probably what they take. Yep, but it puts a Retriever and a Terror in their grave, which they can maybe get back later. Another Snacker. I do want to get down a Spellbomb, but I think this turn we definitely need to hold up Counterspell / Brainstorm mental note these away. And if we have Counterspell, you know, they shouldn't be able to get anything out of their grave before we get a Spellbomb down next turn anyway. Energy Refractor is the type of card that I think we should counter. Keeping them off colored mana is pretty good. They got nothing else to do. Terror. So here I'm going to put down a Spellbomb and we're just going to pass. And they just concede. Okay. I mean, keeping them off the Energy Refractor, I assume they were missing a land there and everything in their hand was colored. That was really nice. I was already liking where that was going, obviously. We would have gotten to Brainstorm into these 3. Yeah, put back probably the 2 Snackers, and then we could abandon attachments, discard Deep Analysis, get both Snackers back. Nice. Alright, last round here. And hand seems fine. Definitely looking for a Brainstorm. Against something green this time. Spy with 2 spies in hand, Mesmeric Fiend, Dread Return. So they're gonna Winding Way or Battlement this turn. Probably Battlement. Do I want to counter a Battlement? It's pretty decent. Yeah, probably. Although I'm gonna need a counterspell for the Fiend, and then also for like a Spy or Dread Return or something, so it's possible I should just wait on it, but too late for that. But Juka Bog's not bad. It's not the best thing ever, honestly. Doesn't really matter at this point, so we're just gonna play an Aquifer and pass. I could just play a Snacker and get that attacking. Not that that's the best thing ever, but they do look to have a bit of a slow hand, and if I find a Brainstorm, I'd like to have the Snackers to mill with the mental note, but if I don't, then it might just be a waste. Okay. They find another land grant, and then Winding Way, finding Caretaker, Dread Return, Axebane Guardian, Elves. Play the Elves. Another Snacker, perfect. And they have their black mana. I can't do anything about it. I mean, I'm going to mental note here. If I find a Snuff Out, I would like to... I don't know if I'd want to kill this, actually. I might want to have something, though. So let's just do that. We find an Aquifer. They have a Dread Return. They're not going to use it right now, so let's just play this. Oh, I should have just cast another Snacker. We're not holding up. We're not... I mean, we're bluffing a counterspell, I guess, but I don't think that makes that big of a difference. Cycle the Troll for their Swamp. Battlement. Caretaker. I mean, we're basically just dead to spy if we can't find something. We get an island. I mean, they have a fiend. Yeah, I mean, I can cast a Lorien here for all the good it'll do. I guess if we get like 2 snuff outs, I could maybe survive that. But we got none. In fact, I guess if we got a couple snuff outs and we're able to kill all the creatures in response to their spy, you know, putting them down to like 2, then we could have very much won. But they're gonna fiend and then spy, and then we're gonna die. Might as well not show them exactly what we have in hand. Not that any of the cards in our deck will be of a surprise to them. Removal's good. Spell Pierce is mostly irrelevant. Spellbomb's good. Fangs is interesting because, like, if we gain enough life, we actually can survive against them. Like, sometimes they can troll or giant or double giant or something, but, like, if we just gain enough life a bunch of times, I think it can be decent. And Snackers just don't do anything. Chumping is kind of irrelevant. If they go for their mid-range plan, we should hopefully be able to beat them already, and these are never going to beat down quickly enough. I kind of think that, like, arms can hit some things. Maybe the Spell Pierces are decent enough. They can sometimes hit Land Grant, Lead the Stampede, Winding Way, or maybe even a Dread Return. Yeah, we'll keep this. Like, if they keep a hand based on Land Grant and we get to Spell Pierce it, then game is good. Let's see. We could Brainstorm and then Lorien. I don't think we need to do that all right now. I don't really need to get a Spell Bomb down immediately either. Let's just pass here. Cycle a Genericent, and they play a Battlement. Brainstorm, put back. Spell Pierce isn't looking great. I think we put these 2 back and then cycle the Lorien. Terror, play an Aquifer, and pass with attachments, discarding Deep Analysis. Cycle a Genericent, find their 3rd forest, and now there's a Lead the Stampede. Of course, I just got rid of my Spell Pierce. I could look for one of my 2 Spell Pierces again with the Brainstorm. I might be wasting the attachments, but I think the upside is worth it. Potential upside. We don't find it, but I guess at least I get the mental note so I can bin these. Alright, let's see the damage. Battlement, Fiend, Gatecreeper, Elves. They gotta discard something. It's gonna be another Genericent. Oh, of course, now we get the Spell Pierce. It was 1 card down. Well, we can play a Terror and cast down this guy. I could hold up a Spell Pierce. I think the chances are they're gonna play a couple of these, though, so I want to get the Spell Bomb down before they can take it with a Mesmeric Fiend. There's the Gatecreeper. Play their Swamp, and they have a Spell Bomb. Sure. They can get rid of our Deep Analysis and all of our progress on Terrors. Attack for 5. We get a Lorien. I tap out for that. They get to Fiend us if they want. I think that's fine. We're not holding out much at the moment, and they I mean, we have a Spell Bomb. Perfect. Triple Island. So we shouldn't be able to lose here. There's the Battlement and the Elves. We need some removal. Mental Note. I think we Mental Note first, because if we hit a Snacker... Well, we took out the Snackers, so there's no reason I need to do that because they wouldn't be coming back anyway, but it's not that big of a difference either way, since it's blind regardless. I will attachments for an island here. Fangs and Snuff Out. So, yeah, we're going to Fangs, because we might as well start gaining some life, especially because we're going to spend it with the Snuff Out. Snuff out the Battlement, and we'll hold up Spell Pierce. Although if they just lead the Stampede out the gate here, then Spell Pierce won't work. There's the Fiend. Gets to take our Pierce, and they have a Vandal, which is gonna blow up the Spell Bomb. So I guess I can just die to a Spy next turn. There's an Elves. So we need Counterspell, which we've seen like none of. Mental Note. Alright, there's a Counterspell. I guess they do have mana for another Fiend into the Spy. That would be a bit unfortunate. They also have enough creatures for double Dread Return, right? Because, yeah, it was last game that we exiled the first one. So I can't really let the Spy resolve and then counter a Dread Return, because that would probably just kill us. Which means I have to counter the Spy, which means they're not just going to die on the spot. Actually, they only had 5 creatures. I guess if they went for it there, maybe I should have let them. I was thinking, well, they have 2 mana. They could have then played something else, but if they only left up black mana, if they didn't play the Fiend before that, they wouldn't have had it. I should have let that resolve, actually. That could have been a big mistake. Well, Mental Note into another counterspell is pretty nice. We'll attack for 6. Chump with the Gatecreeper. We're at 34. The deck I know usually plays around 40 creatures. We exiled 5 with the Spell Bomb. Lead the Stampede. I feel like if I counter this, I don't think I lose to a Spy right now unless they have another way to make a mana, but I feel like I can't let this resolve. If they just draw like 3 more cards, they're going to be able to keep chump blocking the Terror. How am I ever going to get through and ever deal lethal? There's a Caretaker, which, I mean, we're already having trouble with that, but like, I don't know. They're going to start chipping in. While we're hovering around that 30 to 40 life total mark, every point of damage could matter. Well, we drew a couple good ones last last 2 turns, but now we're just bricking. Swing for 6. Like, yeah, we're going to be up to 38, but they could, if they have a spy, they could attack in for 3 with their guys, down to 35, and then spy us. Feels like that's probably going to be enough. Jump with the Caretaker. Another Lead the Stampede. 2 Wildlings and a Wall of Roots. Not the worst ever. If we can get a Lorien revealed into some removal / counter spells, I think we'll be golden for a little bit anyway. I'd taken Abandoned Attachments as well, because we have an island, so that could just be a draw 2. We've only used 1 of those. No, 2 of those. They cast Roost Seek, and then fail to find a basic land. So I assume they just want it back in their deck for when they mill themselves, because they need to have every creature possible. We do draw the counterspell. Okay. Well, we either put them to 1 or eat their Wall of Roots here. Put them to 1. So they can't tap their Elves of Deep Shadow. So they just have 4 mana. Or 5 with the Wall of Roots. I guess they could cast the Wildling. If they have Spy again, I think we let it resolve because they only have 5 creatures. They cast a Wall of Roots. And then they're going to cast Spy. Because that's 6 creatures. So that's double Dread Return. Which means we cannot let it resolve. Now I wish we had Artful Dodge or something in here, but we're going to have to fight our way through. They swing for 2. I guess maybe I'm making a mistake. I was at 42 life. If I let the Spy resolve, I really don't think they could deal me a full 40 with just 1 resolution. So I could have let it go and then countered. I don't know. Thought Scour. I could mill them. Don't think there's a reason to. I guess we've seen both of our spell bombs. If we hadn't, then maybe there would have been a reason. Cast Down is something that can throw off their creature count. Could also get us back a Spell Pierce, not that I think that's largely going to be relevant. We'll pass up to 46. They cast a Generous End. That's what I'm going to have to cast down, which we'll do now, just in case I find a Lorien to use up my mana. If I could find Lorien into like 2 Snuff Outs, we could get there, or even Snuff Out plus cast down. All right, another brick. Swing for 6. All right, we've seen every Brainstorm, so there's no reason for me to hold on to 2 spells, or 2 islands, rather. Crack of Food. So we'll keep 1 for Abandoned Attachments, but might as well play more in case we get a Lorien and want as much mana as possible. But we don't have a counterspell, so we'll see what happens. But we're at 50 life. I don't think we can die from a single Spy, a single Troll, or Giant. You know the one. There's a Caretaker, and 5 mana for a Wildling. Up to 6. Luckily, that's still lethal. And not enough power to threaten blocking the Terror for killing it or anything. I don't think I brought in my Arms of Adar, but it would be pretty good right about now. Okay, another Terror, finally. We're going to go up to 55 here. Oh, actually, they can block with the Wall of Roots and then sack it, essentially, by putting a counter on it. They didn't. Okay. They could have prevented us from gaining the 6 life there, but they did not. There's a Winding Way. Finds Fiend, Wall of Roots, Caretaker. Just a bunch of dorks. Play the Wall of Roots. Play the Caretaker. I've also seen every single counterspell. I mean, we did see a couple of very timely moments, so I'm not upset, but we have no more counterspells to draw. They swing with the Wildling, try to keep our life total soft. We get a Thought Scour. We're at 17 cards in our deck. We're never going to go through 17 cards. Let's just Thought Scour. At least it informs us about what else we could draw. Gurmag and a Thought Scour. Okay, Bajuka Bog. I mean, we get to exile a fair number of creatures, which can make it so that it's even harder for them to kill us with the Giant. We'll attack first, obviously. They can take this Terror for 5 this time, and they do. Down to 1. Exile everything in there. So they have 30 cards between hand and deck and 5 creatures here. So at max, that's 35 damage. Play the Fiend. I think they know they're not going to hit anything, but got to make sure. Plus, it's just a dork to play. They need jump blockers. Spell Pierce, hell yeah. That's what I've been waiting around for. Where have you been all my life? These are both lethal now, so we get to eat 2 creatures a turn. Nom nom nom. They have another Wildling. Okay, if they leave those back, they could double block the 5/5 Terror and trade a Wildling for it, which is not bad. Or they could trade for the Terror with the lifelink, I guess. They'd have to lose them both, but there's a Vandal. I guess we were talking about, oh, we're never going to get through 13 cards. Theoretically, this could go to decking. I think that's unlikely. We still have 2 Snuff Outs left, and we get to eat 2 of their creatures a turn. I definitely think we're going to cast this Lorien, and hope we don't deck, but I think it's definitely worthwhile. This looks great. Yeah, I'm even going to abandon attachments right here. Is this Spell Pierce ever going to be relevant? 4, 5, 6, 7, maybe? Probably more than this island. Double Snuff Out. They only have 3 untapped creatures, and these are both lethal. All right, snuff this guy out, snuff this guy out. I would like to attack for lethal, and I can even put another Unexpected Fangs on this Terror, and beautiful. Well, with a game that long, actually with Mesmeric Fiend, Elves of Deep Shadow. Fumes doesn't look too bad. Arms of Adar can also catch the one dude. We all know him. Gate Creeper Vine. Spell Pierce were not very good that game. They could really be relevant, although less so on the land grant on the draw. I think maybe that's more of a on the play thing, so we'll just swap them for some board wipes. One lander, some decent cards, but I don't think that's going to cut it. A two lander with no way to cast anything except for Spell Bomb. They also mulligan to 5. I mean, this hand is garbage, so let's get rid of it. Perfect. I guess we're going to 4. As are they. Battle of the 4-card hands. We're going to stay here. But they might go to 3. Who knows? Alright, they didn't go to 3. I mean, we're putting back at least 2 of these. Do I keep 1 terror to try to have some pressure at some point? Or, I mean, Spell Bomb I probably should keep. I'm not keeping a terror by itself, though. That's terrible. So it's either Thought Scour or it's either terror or Spell Bomb that goes away. I kind of think I should keep the terror. They mulligan to 4. They could get a quick guy. Spellbomb holds us off from dying. Yeah, I guess I get rid of Terror. It's tough. I feel like if I hold the Terror, maybe I can get a quick Terror down. See, I can't Spell Pierce this. Their hand is Troll, Battlement, Spy. Alright. Troll for the Swamp. They're going to play the Battlement. We will Thought Scour ourselves. Gurmag, Lorien. I guess we'll run out of Spell Bomb. Not that it does much now. And obviously it can get vandaled away, but Wildling for a land. Come on, give me something good. Lorien is decent. Finds our black mana slowly. And fills our graveyard also a bit slowly. Cycle a Generosent. That's 4 lands acquired. I can't Deep Analysis. I can't Terror. I think we might as well just cast down in case they get like a Lead the Stampede or whatever, and this slows them down a little bit. It also just makes it harder for them to spy, which obviously they need to get through the Spell Bomb first, but it also gets us closer to a Terror. Currently we're at 4 spells. Actually, yeah, 4 spells. Snuff Out puts us to 5 spells. So I can do that with a Terror. Hold up a Spell Bomb. Okay, now we have the Terror. That's a 4-turn clock. Obviously, jump blockers and whatnot, but they're going to just spy. I assume targeting us, because they don't have the creatures to target themselves. They mill a Thought Scour and a Bog. They could have done better. They could have hit some more relevant cards for us. Don't think their heart was in it. Abandoned Attachments. There we go. It's a good one. Swing for 5. And I'm going to cast this because we could get a land here. Discard the Deep Analysis. We do. I don't think I'm going to need to cast down. They would need like, I'm pretty sure they only have 4 lands, obviously. They would need like a creature for free and then a spy, but also to get rid of the Spell Bomb, and we have a Snuff Out. So yeah, let's just Deep Analysis here. Okay. Gurmag's a little tough because of our black mana situation, but there's the Vandal. Sure. I could snuff this out first. We go down to 9. That's kind of low. I don't necessarily want to do that right now. Like, if we go down to 9, theoretically, I could see them, like, hitting us with the Spy, getting a Wildling down or something. Although they need a Mana Dork to get a Wildling down to attack in, but yeah, they're gonna start attacking here, so I think it makes sense to wait on the Stuff Out a little bit. Probably don't need to use it yet anyway. Island. I'm gonna swing and then get down to Gurmag. We're gonna bluff a counter spell here, and they could have a Spy, and that's their 3 creatures, but I get to snuff out the Vandal. So yeah, they target themselves here, and this is also partially why I didn't want to do it, is because now we get to blow them out with the Snuff Out on the Vandal. They shouldn't be able to cast the Dread Return. They're going to mill out. All right, and we take that match. Ended up with a 3-2, not a bad record. The deck's pretty sweet. I think Abandoned Attachments fits in perfectly with the Snacker. It's really great. I do think there's a couple things that were a little awkward. So many Gurmag anglers. I know some people commented on my last Dimir Terror video about this because I had 4 Gurmags in that. They definitely are tough to have in multiples because it's really fighting over the graveyard, especially if they get bounced or anything. It's really, really unfortunate. We also, I think usually these lists run a few more like ice tunnels for lands, and there were quite a few times where we were pinched on black mana. I mean, as you can see, the only cards we really need black mana for are Cast Down and Gurmag Angler. Snuff Out needs a Swamp, and a Snacker could just be discarded. But even then, we had several times where we wanted to play both a Gurmag and a Cast Down, and we didn't quite have the mana for it, so maybe we need a couple more of those. Then again, obviously tap lands are rough, but the Abandoned Attachments was fantastic, and this just feels very at home here. And so overall, I think the deck's really sweet. Congratulations, of course, for making top 8 to Kowalczyk with this list. And definitely a fun one to try out. So I hope you enjoyed watching. Thank you so much, and I will see you all next time.